my phone. I'm trying to
Okay.
see if I can patch us on my laptop.
Sure.
So it's a little easier through the interaction.
Right. You take a few moments doing that while I welcome the audience today, as well as introduce you to everyone here.
Sure. Let's do that.
Yeah. So hi everyone. Good evening. It's really nice to see such a huge audience today and big participation. Today we have with us Dola Halder, who is a brand head, and not just that, she's also a fellow Corporate Diva tribe member. She's someone who also won the Corporate Diva 2019 title, and she's highly accomplished in the field of marketing. She has won several awards, and she was handpicked as PepsiCo's future leader for an exclusive one-on-one with none other than Indra Nooyi. So that's a lot of accomplishment. And we're happy to have her here today because there's a lot that we can learn from her. There's a lot that she can give us insights on. So we will get started with the session in just a few minutes while she sets it up. Yeah, I can see her. So the video is on, Dola.
Hi, yes, I'm all set and we're good to go when you're ready.
So I just told the participants here today, give a quick introduction about who Dola is in the professional scheme of things. Also, I know a little bit about you off profession. However, let's begin with your journey at PepsiCo. You know, all these years that you spent there. There are a lot of young marketeers, a lot of them from the digital field. So who definitely get to learn something from your journey.
Of course, Kohina, and firstly, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to do these interactions live and not really those written, on LinkedIn or just written interactions and interviews. So it just gives you a lot of better vibe in terms of picking up the comments live and answering them. To your question, Pina, I think my journey with PepsiCo has been fantastic. Not many people know, but that's the only organization I've ever been with. So joined them straight out of campus, and I was a fresher back then, and decided to stay with them. Never found a reason to move. So I'm sure everyone out here, and I see 116 of us participating today, know the brands PepsiCo has, but they might not know that these brands are PepsiCo's, right? They might know a Lay's and a Kurkure and a Pepsi and a Mirinda, but they might not know that all of that actually sits with one powerhouse. So for me, the organization is almost three different structures and three different companies melted into one. So it's foods and beverages and nutrition. So foods, we have Lay's, Kurkure, Doritos, Cheetos and all of that. In beverages, we have Pepsi and 7-Up and Mirinda and Mountain Dew and that entire set. And of course, nutrition, we have Quaker and Tropicana. So the sense I'm trying to give is that for me, it was different categories, different consumer insights, different learning, different market dynamics, different functional skills built into one. And PepsiCo always gave the flexibility to keep moving, to, horizontally as well as vertically to up your skills. So that way, it's been a great place. Of course, it's a very young organization as well. And when I say young, I don't mean in terms of number of years it's been in the country, but in terms of the attitude the people have back there earlier in office and now wherever they are in their homes. But it's a very flexible organization in terms of what you want to drive, in terms of what you want to make out of your own role. It's been a good journey, with the organization that way. Yeah.
Good to know. And not a lot of marketers, stay around that long, but I'm certain that you have grown and you found so much of opportunity there that you've been with them for so long. So yeah, that's great to hear. The next question that I'd like to pose is obviously something around the pandemic. And, in a lot of webinars, we like to know from various marketeers what their take is. So how do you think that the snacking industry has been impacted with this pandemic?
Right. So see, it's a no-brainer and no new information that yes, the pandemic has had its own set of impact. But hands-on wood, I think snacking and even FMCG as a larger set has been lesser impacted. Now, understand that most historic, economic challenges that have come were really either on the demand side of the business or on the supply side. I mean, we went to recession because either there was a supply crunch or because people were not buying enough. COVID, in fact, has been one such rare instance which has impacted both together and probably equally for most industries. Okay, the people are not willing to go out as much and not willing to spend as much, and hence the demand is crunched. And similarly, organizations are not able to supply as much because of lockdowns, labor restrictions, travel restrictions, and production restrictions. Right. Thankfully, for snack, the impact on demand has not been as high. In fact, if anything else, people sitting more in home have shown us far more love. So I can speak about my brand, Doritos. The amount of user-generated content that we're now picking up on our handle is close to 4 times more of what we used to get before, before the entire pandemic hit us. And again, that's intuition. People sitting at home want refreshment, want to, exhilarate outside of the daily routine. But and then they reach to our brands to do that. Demand has thankfully been not as impacted. Of course, barring a few channels like away from home channel, which is your entire QSRs and cinemas and that space. Barring that channel, I think demand as such has not been significantly impacted. But yes, supply was a constraint for us. A lot of brands coming in with the initial set of supply, at least in the first 30 days of lockdown, was impacted. But I think as an organization, we've bounced back. We did prioritize what to make, what not to make, what to make available in market earlier than something else. And of course, a plan B always helps, right? If one route of service is closed, there are so many others that we've now worked on. So I'm sure some of you have read over papers. We've now tied up with a lot of direct consumer partners, Dunzo and Swiggy. And they are picking up directly from us and making it available to the consumers in their home amidst all the protection and hygiene. So we're finding ways to maneuver things, but touch wood, it's not been as bad for us.
That's good to know. And yes, so we have interacted with a lot of different leaders from the FMCG industry also. So yes, definitely there's been growth, or at least the demand has been there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So moving on, I'd like to know that, Doritos is an iconic brand. It's marketing, the way or they advertise, the way you all take up campaigns. It's phenomenal. So what were, some of the things that you think you all did to create a niche for this brand, considering that this category itself is highly competitive and there have been players for so long?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. When PepsiCo entered the tortilla chips category, and that's what we call it, like the most scientific name of it, or nachos as we call it regularly, we were the 28th player to enter India with that. So unlike most categories wherein we entered first and literally taught people the concept of packaged snacking, this was not that category. We entered like 28th player in market when we did. And when we did, we knew that there were some certain competitive advantages we have. So for example, we knew we have a great product. It's globally #1 when it comes to nachos. And we were super proud of the manufacturing capacity we had to deliver this product. However, which is the tortilla chip category, or the nachos category, is not an Indian category. I mean, so unlike potato chips, which were made at home, or namkeen that are made at home, and most of us got exposed to potato chips and namkeen at our home. That's not the case with tortilla chips. Most of us would have had our first tortilla chips probably in a cinema or a restaurant. And that's why to start with, it's an alien category. And hence for us, the task was very simple. We first need to get more people to the category. We first need to get more people to try tortilla chips. to understand what it is, how different it is from, say, something else like potato chips or anything else. And while doing that, yes, we will keep establishing our brand. So have some of our competitors benefited from our entire action of growing the category? Yes, but that's how categories are made, and PepsiCo is known for it. Now, what did we do to create our niche, like you asked? Is I think we worked on almost all fronts of marketing. Product, we had a great product. But even within that, we had to identify flavors that work better for India. So we started with the dairy-based flavor, which is nacho cheese. India loves dairy. In Lay's, one of our most highest selling variant is actually the green variant, as most people call it, which is the sour favorite American style flavor. So we started that with Doritos, the dairy flavor, and then soon got in more. That got sorted. Then in terms of pricing, I think we took a very, very entrepreneurial step. We said that while the entire category is at a higher price point, we will take a step and not make it as expensive. We made our product available at 10, at 20, something that's more affordable. Great advertisings and campaigns, of course. Something that, and I'm seeing some of the chats coming in separately as well, that attitude that came to our advertisements was very specific. It stays with people long. It tells them a different way of consuming. That stayed. And of course, distribution. I think your question, Veena, there is no one lever to say that, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to create a niche for my brand. That's not how it works. It is literal hard work. It is literal, rigmarole of doing the same thing every day, of making great products, making it available at great prices, always making it available on time to people, and communicating it with something really impactful. So that's what we've been doing. We've been in India for about 5 years now. Some of the things that Doritos has done significantly different from so many other players in this category are a lot of sampling. The only ones who reach out for free to people, for them to try our product and appreciate it, and then they go back and buy us. That's one. We're the only ones probably who do television advertisement. While we're a smaller brand, we're still out there on television. So a lot of ahead of the curve investments. And like I said, a lot of rigmarole, like, daily hard work of making something right and making it available right is, in my view, the only way you can create a brand new, the only way you can become a part of everyday snacking habits. But of course, the starting point is a great product. I think that's where we have like a 70-30 win across anybody else who's there in the market.
Understood. And will you be able to recollect, since the brand has been around for 5 years, and obviously you started from creating that need, like you mentioned, it's not like potato chips that someone's had at home and there's a natural appetite for it or a taste for it. So what were some of the challenges or the roadblocks that you hit during the period that you were trying to establish the brand here?
First and foremost, I think, is the fact that it's a new category. So awareness is the first and the biggest set of issues. And that's not an issue which is just common to, let's say, Doritos in this case, or tortilla chips in this case. It's common to any new category that would ever get launched. Imagine when a Paytm would have come for the first time telling you how to do mobile payments, they would have suffered awareness. Imagine when Swiggy would have come for the first time telling you how to order online and not really make at home or go outside and order from a restaurant. They were trying to create awareness. I think the first and foremost thing that we try and break is the awareness barrier. And to do that, you need to make yourselves very relevant to the market. You need to make yourselves very relevant to your consumer. That's what we did. And when I say relevance, there are various ways of driving it. You make the relevant flavors available. You make it available at a price point which people like and can afford. You make the packaging something which goes for it, which can sit on shelves, looks nice, and looks out loud. Your distribution channel is comfortable for people to easily find you. So I think step by step, it's first making your product really relevant for people, the entire proposition, and then making sure you communicate at various ways, distribution, through advertisements, and all of that to make people aware about it. That's if I had to choose one big task for this category, irrespective of any brand out there, I think it will be that. It will be just driving the awareness. I do see a lot of comments of people saying that the voice is cracking and they're not able to hear. I'm sorry, folks.
Really
I don't know
clear
what
for
else to
me.
do.
Uh,
Yeah,
I can
it's pretty clear for me too. And I'm struggling to figure what to do to just help all these people out here who are. Yeah, thankfully there are a few who are saying that it's clearer.
I think in between it did crack more, possibly because of the network, but otherwise, it's really clear.
What I could do, and tell me if that works, if I could switch my video off, and all of us can do that, so that saves a bit of a bandwidth and maybe translates into better. Yeah, let's try and do that.
Let's do that.
All right, let's see if this works for people. Yeah, I already see some saying it's clearer now. Great.
Right. Yeah. Sounds good to me too. Okay, so yeah, that's helpful. Okay, my other question here would be, all of us know that Doritos is an iconic brand in terms of its smart campaigns. Would you like to share with us something that you all did on the innovation side to put Doritos, a relatively new player, onto the map there, with the kind of campaigns that you all have devised?
Sure. I think when you say innovation, most people think innovation is just related to the product. I mean, that's what comes to your mind first, right? Or something great to do with packaging. But I think innovation is across your marketing mix. I'll tell you the thing that we did very, very innovatively. I think we are the pioneers, at least in this category, when it comes to experiential sampling. And when I mean experiential, so there are various ways of sampling your product out, right? And I'm sure most of us would have come across some other form of sampling. When we used to go out to markets more frequent earlier, then you would have these two gentlemen or gentle ladies standing with trays and nacho chips in it and some sort of dip, and you were asked to take a chip and then dip it in the chip and consume. Those are called wet sampling. The other way of sampling is just giving away a pack free randomly, right? I think we as Doritos tried almost all the formats and then build our own learning as to what's the best way to sample. And the sampling that we've been doing for the past year and a half is extremely experiential. So when I say experiential, almost like you walk into, like, let's say you're a college student and we set up a kiosk in your college. And I say college student because that's one of our core set of PGs on the brand. So we set up a kiosk in the college, and that kiosk is a virtual reality booth. You walk into that booth, you experience something virtually great. And all that experience is enabled to you by Doritos. So you consume the product, and that leads to the experience unrolling for you. And it's only at the end that you then get the product. That way, we are making sure that there is stickiness of the product and it's imagery in the minds of people. So there was innovation at that front. The second innovation that we've been constantly trying to do is a lot of moment marketing work. And for those of here of you guys over here new and who don't probably understand the concept of moment marketing or are not probably familiar to the word, the phrase is essentially when there are moments which are trending on social media, brands make their voice heard. Right. So, for example, yesterday was a big moment marketing day wherein there was a great ceremony happening at a certain part of the country, and invocation and groundbreaking work on the entire Ayodhya and the Ram Mandir establishment. So that was a moment which people were talking about on social media. There was conversations around lights being lit and diyas being lit and all of that. So that's a moment. Doritos has historically identified content as a moment. Every time you're watching something, you're watching a content, you're watching, let's say, a great web series on your phone, or you're watching a movie on your TV, or back days when you used to go to PVR to watch a movie on cinema, you are watching a content. And every time you're watching a content, we want you to experience that content with Doritos. We want you to have that with Doritos. That's again a space that we've been activating, and we've done a lot of moment marketing campaigns around that. One of the most recent one being the nacho emoji campaign. do visit my LinkedIn page and search for that piece. It was a great campaign, activated over 24 hours. And that's something, again, we are the only ones who are doing in the category. So there is innovation in almost everything that we do. The product, of course, is fantastically different from other players. The pricing that we are at, we were the only ones who pioneered that pricing. So historically, tortilla chips meant expensive. Like, it meant it will not start before 25 bucks. It will only be available at a 50 and 100. We'll change that for the category. We made ourselves available at 10. So we were innovative there. We are innovative in the campaigns that we do. I think innovation is a part and parcel of almost everything we do in our brand. And to be very honest, I think it's not just Doritos doing it. I think that's something more ingrained in the way we are as PepsiCo. Pick up any latest campaign that you remember on our brand. You'll find it very unique, very engaging, very, very different, right? So yeah, I think it's a part of our DNA that way.
Right. That's great to know. And yeah, personally, I followed the campaign. So one of the recent iconic ones was where, Doritos launched ads without the logo. And obviously, it became the talk of the town. And in fact, one of the other examples that you mentioned in terms of in terms of BTL or in terms of direct sampling is also very unique and innovative, because you mentioned VR, and considering the target set that you have, it's so much enticing to them, because virtual reality is something which is up and coming, and I'm sure the users really enjoyed that experience. So I think also your inputs there must have opened a few thought bubbles for our listeners here. So moving on, the other question that I'd like to ask you is of your work directly, but about your other achievements, which obviously includes you winning the Corporate Diva 2019 title, the PepsiCo Future Leader one-on-one engagement that you participated in, and Mentor for Magic, besides the numerous others that you've been involved in. So how has that journey been? Because again, I'm talking from a relevance perspective with a lot of young professionals on the webinar today.
Sure. Tina, I think when we were growing up, we heard our parents saying that we need to have a work-life balance. I think that was a concept then. I think our generation and the generations going forward hence, I don't think they anymore want to have a work-life balance. I think the other way around. They want to have a work-life alignment. I can't be a different person when, in real life, and I can't be a different person when I'm at work. I have certain values, I have some passion points, I have some interest areas, and I would love if my organization allows me to bring those along with me, right? I think that's a concept that PepsiCo beautifully embraces, and that's why you see me getting engaged in a lot of extracurriculars, as most call it, but to me these are really passion points, and I've been able to successfully do it along with work. So, for example, this interaction that we're having just now is got nothing to do with work. It's just me sharing certain things that I've picked up at work. I'm still picking up a lot of things, but I love to just share that information with people and see what they have to say or hear what their thoughts are around it. Similarly, the entire work that I do around diversity and inclusion, I as an individual really believe that diversity and inclusion is no more a cause that you need to work for. It's a reality that you need to have, you need to bring into life. That's why I work both internally and externally. Internally at PepsiCo as a part of the Diversity and Inclusion Council. Yes, we have a dedicated council that works towards making our workplace gender neutral for everyone, diversity neutral for everyone out there. I'm a part of that, and I work internally to make that happen. Also externally with Corporate Diva and a couple of other platforms, I work towards making that happen. So I think the broader picture is, and I don't know if everybody out here is already into corporates or are planning to join corporates, but do ask yourself that what are your passion areas that you would want to continue with you to your organization? Because when you do that, work becomes fun. Like I don't wait for 8 p.m. Or a 6 p.m. to strike for me to switch off my work mode and go do what I really like. I think I'm balancing all through, and hence work doesn't feel work, and the passion doesn't feel, something for which you need to find extra time. That has helped me, and that's been my advice. Don't strike to have work-life balance. See if you can get a work-life alignment and what you want to do through and through the day, literally through the day. Like I'm speaking to you guys now, and after this, I have another meeting at office, which I'm happy to join on because I've touched something that I really like through the day via this interaction.
Sure.
Before you move to your next question, I'm just going through. There are a lot of questions that have actually come on the chat, and how would you want to take those? Do you want to do a couple of questions from your
end, just a couple of more questions.
Yes.
Yeah, we have just a couple of more questions left before we have the other half of the session left to address these questions. We are not going to miss out on any, and we'll try to accommodate as many as possible.
I'm really intrigued to read all the comments that are coming on the chats, and I really want to answer them.
Yes,
so let's get going.
Yeah, these sessions are really enriching from a point of view to see the thoughts of others who are following the brand or follow you as a professional. So it's really exciting. So my next question, you've partly already covered it. However, since it is about the stuff phase, and we have, like, I keep drilling this in, that we have a lot of upcoming and young marketeers on the call. What would your advice and suggestion be besides what you've already mentioned, that look and strive for a work-life alignment? What is it you would like to voice or tell the youngsters today?
Sure. I think my previous advice of striking a work-life alignment is more generic. I mean, that's applicable to any function you ever work in, or any organization that you ever work for.
Right.
Specific to marketing, I think I'm going to go back to when I was studying. And for me at that time, the only priority in life was to get hired in a top-rated CPG organization, a top-rated FMCG, and start making advertisements. Start working on big brands and make advertisements and meet directors and meet celebrities and sign them up and make films with them, right? But 8 years with PepsiCo, I didn't get to work on a brand for the first 5 years, first 4.5, 5 years. And within that also, I didn't get to make an advertisement for the first years. So for me, marketing actually started much before when I moved on to brand. For me, it started when I did sales. And I'm not sure if everyone out here has gone through my profile, but my first 3 years were hardcore sales with PepsiCo. Going outlet to outlet with the help of a huge, fantastic team that I had. And I was taking care of entire Haryana's foods business for PepsiCo. It was a strenuous role. It was not what you ideally want to do as an MBA, right? You don't want to be going store to store selling product. You want to be sitting in AC offices, making great strategies and great films, like I said. But that's when first 3 years were when I was building my foundation, and that's when I saw what consumers really need. That's when I learned what is the importance of retailers and customers, who are all these in-between intermediaries before a consumer even lays his or her hand on your product. I think those are my foundation here. Hand on heart, I think I can very confidently say that my sales stint gave me the confidence to be a better marketer. If there's one advice I would want to give any marketer, please start with sales if you have not already started. And if you have started and you are in marketing, please do see if you can, do a couple of stints in sales. It's a great platform to build your professional skills. It's a great platform to know consumers and customers from, the closest form and closest self.
I totally agree with you, Dola. In fact, I personally have worked with a lot of FMCG companies on the agency side, and I've seen their journey from sales to marketing, moving exactly what you said, moving store to store, trying to close things with distributors and getting insights from consumer on ground. So that really helps, and that's useful advice. The last question that is listed is also something which you've partly covered when we were talking about Doritos. However, just so that we have a little bit more clarity on this, do you all have a plan, an upcoming plan on Doritos, given that this period has been fairly, if not flourishing, but has been not bad for you? So is there something that you all want to do to make this better for the brand in terms of sales,
Oh
in terms
boy,
of
of
consumption?
course. We are brimming with plans, Tulina. I mean, of course, in the interest of confidentiality, I don't think I'll be able to roll out what all we are planning and having in our mind. But here's the thing: of all the 105 participants on the call right now, and everybody else watching us live on YouTube, there is a lot of action coming from the brand for each one of you out there in the next couple of months. A lot of new news on almost all fronts of the marketing mix coming through. And like I said, Tuhina, I don't think any of our PepsiCo brands really got impacted with COVID from a demand side. Demand was always there. So post COVID, if you ask me, most of our brands are just rekindling that demand, now going all out and telling the consumers that, hey, you showed us your love. We are reciprocating that love with equal amount of supply now, because now we are operating full and fledged. So that's what we are doing short term right now. But hold on, and there's a lot of good news and new news coming on the brand very soon. Super excited for that.
We're excited to hear that too, because that's definitely a brand that we love and follow. Okay, so I think we're through with the questions that we had sort of gone over. And now we'll take questions from the chat window. So first up, I'll take Urvashi Bhardwaj's question, which says that you just mentioned your brands are rekindling the demand. What measures do you take for that?
Basic consumer engagement. I mean, everything that we do as marketers has a quantitative way of measuring. So when I say rekindling demand, it means everything. It means what is the total quantum of business that I'm doing in this month versus last month? What is the total quantum of engagement have I driven on my social media versus last month? It will mean what is the total quantum of UGC, user generated content, that has come through this month versus last month. If I'm running a campaign, what is the reach, frequency, impressions that I've driven through that? Everything is quantifiable, and we measure each of that against any of the campaigns that we do, or against any of the initiative for that matter that we do. Nothing that gets rolled out from any of the brands is left to subjectivity. There are targets, and we work with some fantastic agency partners to help us define those targets. Like, let me give you an example. If I talked about moment marketing campaign that Doritos does so well, right? Now, it might just look at every time there is a new film coming, Doritos has a post, and that's about it. But that's not the case. After each post, there is a proper measurement of how many people saw, how many people liked, how many people shared, how many people commented, how many people created some sort of a creative, like some sort of a nice looking creative, and then posted. So we measure each of those. Then we measure what percentage of this was because we spent money on let's say Instagram, yeah, right? Or what percentage of it was organic. So we go to those granularities. There are set templates against which we measure everything. And then we have norms. So given we are a large organization and we've been in the market for very long, there are norms for almost everything, right? So then we compare our performances to what has been the average. So to your question, we measure everything. Whatever possibly we can, we try and do that. And wherever we can't measure, we extrapolate and we try and some form of surrogates. But without measurement, without being able to At the end of the day, compare and say that, I did a good job or I need to do better. I think there's no point. Otherwise, everything is great. Like everything is super, super good.
Right. Understood. Okay, so the next question that I'm going to pick up from here is from Yash, who wants to know that is PepsiCo considering a digital D2C strategy to adapt to consumers shopping online exclusively during the pandemic?
Well, Yash, we already have that. I've done that. Do check out my LinkedIn page for more info, or just direct message me and I'm going to send those links to you. We've already done that. We've partnered with Swiggy and Dunzo for direct deliveries of our product to consumers amidst the entire safety protocol that us and our partners are following. And that's not something that we were doing earlier. Yes, of course, they were fully available on e-commerce and on modern trade. Direct deliveries was not something that we were doing. This is new for us, and it's doing good for us. So yes, Yash, we are already there, and do direct message me to send you direct.
Right. The next question is from Nachiket Premraj. He wants to know what's your take on influencer marketing and how has the ROI been in the past?
Well, see, influencer marketing is a fantastic platform. And while I'll not comment on the specifics of numbers, because that varies on a lot of things, like variables there will be what kind of influencers have you signed up? How many influencers have you signed up? How complicated is what you want them to do, right? If it's a simple task of just pose with my pack, it'll be a different outcome. If the complicated task of shoot a video of consuming my product, then it outcome will be different. So there are a lot of variables. I won't comment on specifics of ROI, but it's a great platform. Why? Because imagine as consumers, these are people who you are following in your everyday life. They could be people you look up to, people who you reach out to for tips, queries, or people you just admire in general, right? Now, when these people share their point of view on a brand, it sounds very real, it sounds authentic, and it touches you more. There's a ability for us to communicate is higher. The other thing is, via influencers, the amount of engagement that you drive is much more, right? I mean, if I were to just do a simple TVC or run a simple banner on Facebook, then at best I will see is you guys commenting something. That's the only set of feedback that I will ever get. The moment it's influencer out and not a brand out, your ability to open up and communicate with the brand is much higher. And that is very, very valuable to us, because then we pick up a lot of insights from you, which helps us come back with propositions that are better. So I think influencer marketing is doing great. It is here to stay for quite good time. And it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for the brand. It's a win-win for consumers. They get to hear the brand unfiltered way. It is also a win-win for the influencers. It's become a huge source of revenue for a lot of people in India. We saw a lot of stories and heard a lot of stories when TikTok got banned. And there are other platforms now that are catching up. But to answer your question, I am a personal strong believer on influencer campaign. I think it's here to stay for some time.
Thanks for answering that. The next question is from Bhavna Narayan, and she wants to know, with consumers moving towards organic and healthy food, not to forget zero waste lifestyle, how is PepsiCo trying to stay relevant in the market?
That's a very good question, and thank you for that. I think for a very long time we've had these questions coming to us that what is the role of your brand in that entire space of people going all healthy. So I think, and this comes on the back of tremendous amount of consumer work that we do with almost all our brands and throughout in the organization, is that every consumer has different parts of the day, right? I mean, let's talk about me. So I am Dola. I start my day and I want to make it very healthy. Then through the day, I want to have right amount of calories so that I'm not overgoing on calories. But then there are those moments in the days wherein I want to rejuvenate. I've had a bad day, or I've had a very tough meeting, or I just, otherwise want to sit and unwind. And I am okay to have those fun for you products. And that's where bulk of our products come in. So if you were to divide your consumption through the day between good for you, better for you, fun for you, I think PepsiCo has some form of an offering in each of those segments. So you will find products from our portfolio which are good for you. The Picker is good for you. Tropicana is good for you. And there are products which are fun for you. So a Pepsi is fun for you. A Doritos is fun for you. Lay's is fun for you. Similarly, there are products that we are trying to make better for you. So we have, zero sugar Pepsi. We have historically worked a lot on reducing the overall sugar footprint, reducing the overall water consumption that we do as brands. So again, a lot of articles out there. I think if I start narrating each and every story and work that I do, we can go on till the next 2 hours. But for those of you who have specific questions on what work is PepsiCo doing on zero waste is one thing that I picked up from Tuhina as she asked the question. There are specific work that PepsiCo has committed to and has been doing for past so many years in front of reducing sugar, reducing water utilization, reducing packaging waste. The specific work that we've been doing out there. So we are fully committed to it and very, very happy to share all those specific stories and links with you directly on LinkedIn, in case you're interested to know more.
Thanks for also sort of letting everyone know where they can get more information from. I'd like to take this next question from Rahul Ramvani, which is a very different question because he asked that which books would you suggest for someone trying to build a young brand?
Sorry, I missed your question. Was it which book? Sorry,
books?
I missed your question.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
I think what he wants to know is your recommendation of books to read for somebody who's trying to build a brand or is a young marketeer.
Of course. So Rahul, I'll be super honest with you. Given the time pressures, I haven't picked up a book shamefully for past 4 weeks now, little more than 4 weeks. But I'll tell you what I do for my daily dose of inspiration and marketing information, something that's super handy and easy. And that's what I recommend to everybody I interact with through all my sessions and all my interactions, is 2 things. A, be super active on LinkedIn. Follow at least a set of 200 to 250 marketeers who you want to hear from and learn from. There are this amazing bunch of people out there on LinkedIn who are writing almost every day to tell you what are the new things happening in the world of marketing, right? So follow them, and they will be your daily dose of information. Second, have a couple of marketing apps on your phone. I'll tell you which one I follow. I follow Brand Equity. It gives me a compact 8 set of notifications every morning with almost everything happening around marketing. So who's moving, which brand head is moving where, what are the new products being launched, and also editorial sections. All of that comes pushed to you right on your phone. Do that. Third thing that I really do as a marketer is be very open for creativity. So whenever you're watching an ad, don't just watch it as a consumer. Make it into questions. So ask questions like, okay, who was the ad from? What was the problem the ad was trying to address? How was the product addressing the problem the advertisement had picked up? Overall, how engaged was I when I was viewing the ad? Again, go back to my LinkedIn and I've done a post on how do I assess advertisements, and do that when you see an advertisement. Or when you're seeing a newspaper creative, what are the questions that you need to ask yourself? So I think there is a lot of marketing inspiration that's there around us every day. That's the fun part about marketing. And sorry for those who are super interested in, let's say, a finance or other those areas which are relatively more technical. But as a marketer, I think the advantage of marketing is that it's very commonsensical. At the base of it, it's super commonsensical. So all you need to do is just open yourself and be receptive to these inspirations, and question yourself on a regular basis that if this product was launched, why was it launched? What is it made of? What does it do for the consumer? What does it do for the company? So I think those are some of the tips, Rahul, I'm going to leave you with. And specific to books, I haven't personally read one in past more than 4 weeks, but happy to share some of the specific books that I otherwise feel are not just from marketing point of view, but even from a business point of view, can be really good.
That's a lot of information on how do you get your dose of information and how the others on the chat today can benefit from. Moving on, we'll take the next question from Shreya Singh. She says, since we see a big shift in the consumer preferences in their taste and choices, like you said, Indians are known to have their household namkeen or say a packet of Haldiram, since it is homegrown. Do you see Doritos making a place like the namkeen brand in Indian families, knowing we are spending so much time at home now?
So yeah, I think while you've talked about a couple of brands in your question, but I think this question is relevant in general. And you're right. Yes, there is a significant shift happening towards in-home consumption, towards large size bags, not just because people want to sit at home and consume more easily and conveniently, but also because they want to cut down their number of trips to market. So they are happier to buy, let's say, a large 1 kg bag versus going to market every fortnight to buy a 500-gram bag, right? That's a reality, right? Rightly. Now, where does Doritos play into it? I think for any brand to tap into in-home consumption, there's a certain journey a brand has to go through, which as MBAs, quote unquote, we call the product life cycle of any brand. Now, before any consumer agrees to invest on a large bag, an in-home consumption bag for a brand, I think they first know the brand and try the brand and at least have tried the basic entry-level MRPs and price point. I think as far as Doritos is concerned, we are more in the earlier phases of our product life cycle. We are just a 5-year-old brand in India. And right now, we are at least trying to make people consume us and enter the category to the initial set of price points. That said, we do have, while a small but very, very loyal base of consumers, love to consume us when they're at home. And for them, we do have large pack offerings. We have a rupees 35 and a rupees 65 pack available. We are one of the most aggressively selling and most aggressively promoted brands on e-commerce. So every time you go there, you will be able to find the full assortment. The other thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to create a lot of bundles and a lot of offers. So while we understand that someone new to the category may be hesitant to try, let's say, a large bag of Doritos, but if I were to bundle them up for you with some other brands which you're relatively more aware of, let's say a Lay's, then your ability to invest in me is higher. So there are various forms of that different brands are trying. But to your question, yes, in-home consumption is on the rise. Large bag sales are on the rise. Now there are two sets of the continuum for consumers, right? They want something very affordable. So entry-level price points are important. They also want large bags to reduce the trips to market. So large bag size are important. So I think both the realities do exist.
Right. Thanks for that. The next question is from Parika. She wants to know, how do you find the right audience for your product and connect with them, let's say digitally?
Oh, Parika, you have a wonderful name. I've never heard this name. So thank you for your question. In particular to how do we find our target audience, I think what you're asking is what we ask ourselves when we are designing a product. Okay, it almost happens at the design stage of the product. So let's say when PepsiCo would have first thought of making Doritos, they would have asked certain questions, right? That what is the product, or who is the kind of consumer I want to serve? What is the gap in that consumer's life? And hence, to serve that gap, what is the new form of snacks that we need to launch? And those answers will guide everything on the product. It will guide the features of the product. It will guide the packaging of the product, the tonality of the product, everything. So I think what you're asking, Parika, is basic. And I do this detailed module on basics of marketing, which is about what questions do brand managers ask while designing their marketing mix. And what you've asked is the first set of that question. Who is consuming the brand? Why is he or she consuming the brand? when is that person with you? And when you answer these three questions, the answers together allow you to make a great product which resonates with your people, right? And then, of course, there are more questions like what price should I price it at? What is the channel that I use to make the product available? But I think the first step is this: who, why, and when. And when you answer that, you're able to make great marketing mixes.
Understood. Right. Hope that answers your query, Parika. The next question is, and we only have a few minutes left, is from Amandeep Singh. He wants to know what are the most challenging campaigns at PepsiCo and how did you overcome that hurdle?
Well, every itself is a different one, Amandeep. Because as marketeers, and not as marketeers, I think as human beings, we are bored of doing the same. But if it's working, we want to make a change to it. So because of that, I think every campaign in itself is new and it's challenging. If I were to think of, one of the recent campaigns which was super challenging for us is the first one, the one that I talked about, which was the Doritos nacho emoji campaign. And let me, in fact, just take a couple of seconds and explain you what the campaign was for the interested everybody. And of course, you can get more details on my page. So this was a Friday evening. We were just wrapping up our work, and my digital agency called up and said that Netflix has just posted online saying that please tell us what's your mood for tonight with the help of an emoji, and we will tell you what Netflix film to watch. So it was their campaign, their idea. Okay, and like I said, we work in the space of content, so we associate the brand with content. So we had an idea and we replied to Netflix saying that, hey, Netflix India, we would have loved to reply with the nacho, with an emoji, but guess what? There is no nacho emoji. And it was a big revelation because none of us had actually realized that while there is a burger emoji, there's a taco emoji, there is a pizza emoji, there is actually no nachos emoji. When Doritos replied like that, organically we had this young gentleman, God bless him, Mudit Mundra, I still remember his name. He replied saying that, I am starting a change or petition, and I am inviting people to sign up and get nachos emoji on the keyboard. Okay. So then a lot of people signed up the petition, and from 50 people signing up, it went to 100 and then to 500 and soon much more. And then as Doritos, we steamed it up, saying that if people are organically conversing this and talking our brand, why don't we then throw in a few more influencers in? So we have a couple of influencers, Rahul, Kenny Sebastian, Abish Matthew. These guys are fantastic comedians, and they then take the picture of themselves with a pack of Doritos and a laptop, and Abish tagged Kenny saying that, hey, Kenny, do you know there's no nachos emoji? And everyone was like, why? Is that really true? So all this happened in 24 hours, late night Friday, as I'm saying it. And the biggest challenge, Amandeep, when you are pulling things like these out is coordination with so many set of people. Now, I make it sound very simple to you, but in this single campaign, we had digital agency, we had a media agency, we had a legal team, we had public relations team, and of course the brand team, which is me. All of us sitting together. I mean, those days, different offices, all connected on phone, discussing and doing live all of this. So ways of working, I think, is the first challenge that you need to overcome. You need to make yourselves enable that working ability of churning these out simply. The second is your ability to, think quickly and respond to people as to what they're saying live. A lot of comments came live to us, and then we were responding, keeping in mind the brand tonality and the ethos of the organization. I think those are some of the big challenges when we do moment marketing campaigns. This one is one of my favorite because it literally happened over 24 hours. And, the outcome of this campaign, we were trending on Twitter for 9 straight hours. Our hashtag of nacho emoji campaign was trending on Twitter for 9 straight hours. I mean, very few brands have actually did that. So yeah, I think those are some of the challenges. It's just aligning yourselves to working like that is the first hurdle that you need to overcome.
That's wonderful, and thanks for sharing that. I think that's enough information for anybody who's interested to go on to Dola's LinkedIn page or find out more about these campaigns online. In the interest of time, with having left for the last 3 minutes, I'll take the last question for today, which again is to do with you as a woman leading one of the most influential brands targeting young people in India. So, how do you oversee the communication of the brand that's put out, if it is gender neutral, even to the point of seeing that there is equal representation using people in the brand social media? This is by Ashwarya Menon.
Sure. Sure, Aishwarya. I think it's a fantastic question, Aishwarya. And, it's a huge responsibility for each one of us, equally for me and equally for you when you guys come on to handling brands, or if you're already doing that, is to make sure that the communication that's going out from you is true to your value, right? And it's not that we don't come across suggestions and proposals which could be gender biased or which have some unconscious bias. Small instance, we were hearing scripts. So when we make advertisements, what you see is advertisements are first written as scripts, which our partners will narrate to us. And there was this one script which had this one line that the protagonist was so ferocious that just by hearing his voice, the villain went and hid behind the women in the scene. And it was said in a very jocular manner. It was said very casually, right? But a lot of us hearing the script, a lot of other agency partners, a lot of people from legal and including myself, we just picked it up and we said that, why will that person go hide behind the women? And if he hiding behind the women, why is it considered to be cowardice? What is the statement that you're trying to make? Now, that particular instance had got nothing to do with the overall messaging of the advertisement. It was a very, very short couple of seconds in the probably 30-second long. But if you're conscious that you want to make sure every work that goes out from your desk is true to your value, I think you will pick those individual points and you will make sure that you keep them. Now it's a long journey to go, right, Aishwarya? It's a very long journey to go, especially because as a society we are super skewed. There is a misrepresentation, skewed representation in every field. We will take some time to bridge that, but I think step by step, every single drop is going to add to that eventually. And like I said, it's an onus for each one of us, for Karina here, for me, for you hearing, and everyone, wherever you are, whichever field of work you're at, make sure that even the smallest and the biggest work that goes out of your desk is true to what you really believe in. I think each one of us doing our bit, it should be okay. It should be okay.
Right. Thank you. And it's great to see your passion and commitment for the brand. It's really, it sort of comes through. So I think you already have another meeting lined up, and there are a few questions left. I'll see if we can, sort of try and send it to you or come to a closure on that.
I have a recommendation, and firstly, thank you for having me. I like I said, I love doing these interactions. These live questions are super energetic and keeps me going. I know there are a lot of questions you've not been able to pick up. Chats are still going on and on. So 2 steps, please do reach out to me on LinkedIn. You directly, you can send me a connect. I'm happy to connect there. A lot of your questions will anyhow keep getting answered through. So I post on LinkedIn, post every week. Something new that's happening on marketing. So we can stay connected there and a lot of your questions will get answered automatically. If you do have some specific questions, please feel free to DM me those on LinkedIn. I generally have a response time of 3 days because I get like 100 plus messages every day. But I promise that one of us, between me or Tuhina, we will definitely come back to you with answers to all those questions.
Absolutely. Okay, that is the yeah, it does sound like a plan, and there are really a lot of questions that have not been taken up because of the time. And thank you so much, Dola. This was such an interactive session. I can see the energy of the participants also through the chat window, sending out such relevant questions. And thank you everyone on the webinar today for taking out time. Darshana has already shared the link with you all. Please do share the feedback for this with us. Thanks and have a good evening.
Take care, everyone. Please be safe.